DJ Nation fam, what is up? What is happening? It's your guy, Ryan Williams, here at Ryan Alexander _W is where you can find me on Twitter. And I'm here for the last of the DFS top low-owned plays here for the DJ Nation fam as we get into week 17. Week 17, man, can't believe the season is already, regular season that is already coming to an end. But here we are, and week 17 is always a weird one, random slate. You get people sitting. Now we have to deal with COVID coming into 2021 as Alvin Kamara is set to miss, and there's other situations going on like with the Cleveland Browns and all across the league that are going to affect this slate mightily. So even more opportunity for us to get some low on plays here as we get into our builds. Of course, guys like Derrick Henry, Ty Montgomery is going to be popular with the Saints running back situation. That chalk with the Houston Texans and the Tennessee Titans game. Still love getting to those guys at the top, but we definitely want to find some different angles in areas where we can attack and make things a little interesting here as we head into week 17. Before I get into the plays, just want to shout out everybody who subscribed to the YouTube channel. And if you're coming to the channel for the first time, please hit that subscribe button, hit the like button on the video too. If you choose to do so, that would be very helpful. We appreciate everybody who's been rocking with us all year long, as we've talked about on the multiple platforms that we have here at the Fantasy Authority. It's been a fun ride, and we won't stop here, especially with DFS. It probably won't be low-owned plays videos as we get into the wild card week and everything going into playoffs, but I'll definitely try and get you guys some content here, as I'll still be playing the playoff slates, and I hope that you guys will be interested in playing as well. Okay, let's get into the plays here. It's the week 17 DFS top low-owned plays. We're looking at both Draftkings and FanDuel, and let's start it off here with the quarterback position, as we usually do. And at quarterback, the guy that I'm looking at the top is Aaron Rodgers, and he comes in at 7,400 on DraftKings, 8,500, I believe, on FanDuel. This guy's had an MVP season. I'm happy to say that I got a future ticket for the MVP odds on him at plus 500 going into Black Friday. I guess that's a shameless plug if you want to call that. But the MVP, he's a favorite now. I think the last I saw, he was minus 450 on some of the books. Clear favorite here, but still, the job isn't over. They have to win to make sure they absolutely secure the number one seed. A loss would mean that if the Saints win, I believe, and the Seahawks win, then it's a three-way tie for the number one seed, and that could possibly go to the Saints there. So they're definitely playing for something here. And also, not to mention that they're playing to keep the Bears out of the playoffs. If the Bears win here, they're in, and we talked about it on the pod, and we've talked about it at length at the Fantasy Authority. Just teams don't want to see a divisional opponent, 3 times coming into the playoffs. You already had to face this team twice. They were able to win handedly in the first matchup that they had. And Aaron Rodgers in Chicago, I was actually going through his game logs, and you have to go back, I believe, until 2015 before he had like a reasonable output or multiple touchdown game against this team. He missed one of the years of the home matchup there, but he hasn't thrown for more than 2 touchdowns since that 2015 game that they had. So you're looking at a lot of narratives around there, but despite all the narratives, it's still Aaron Rodgers who comes in. He won't see a lot of ownership because Devontae Adams is priced up. You're looking at the other options there. People don't want to play Lazard. They don't want to play Valdez-Scantling. They don't want to play Tanyan probably at tight end when he's, just around the price of George Kittle. And so I think that gets people off of Aaron Rodgers and what I mentioned, like not having much success against the Bears. But this is a Bears secondary that's depleted. No Jalen Johnson, no Buster Screen. Devontae Adams has absolutely been killer all season long. I expect to have him get things going here. And if for some reason the game script doesn't go as we expect, what we expect is the Packers are able to win this game. But if the Bears get up to a lead here, or if it's a neutral game script with the Bears kind of controlling the pace, then we could see more from Aaron Rodgers. I love him in tournaments from a play this week. Let's go into running back, kind of all across the board, but I got 2 guys here who, I would be looking to build my rosters around. The first one is Myles Gaskin. I'm not sure. I'll have to look up his price. I'll be sure to tell you guys that as I haven't written it down here yet, of course, but 6,500 on DraftKings. He's a play on both sides. I mean, he comes in, I think he's the 15th price running back on DraftKings and lower than that on FanDuel, which is just, ridiculous from the workhorse share that this guy is seeing. He's 6,700 on FanDuel, which is incredible. That's just an egregious price tag for him when you're looking at last week. He had been missing with the knee injury and being on the COVID list, saw a 76% snap share, 19 opportunities, and going against Buffalo, that has been pretty stellar against the run, but Miami's playing for their playoff lives as well with Tua there. And Tua just, he protects the ball, doesn't take deep shots, and this should be a run-heavy attack for them. And you're looking at the other side with Buffalo, and Buffalo's pretty much, got everything locked up. Are they going to play their starters the full allotment of games? Are they going to even play them more than one series? Are they treating this like a preseason game? Like, we don't really know what Buffalo's doing, but even if Buffalo's starters are playing and it's not, maybe we don't get them for, the end of the fourth quarter or the whole fourth quarter or whatever. But even if we get them for the majority of the game, like Myles Gaskin still shapes up to see a bulk of the opportunities. He's the best option for them to try and win this game. And we're looking at the red zone role there. We absolutely love that. Like, he's leaps and bounds taking over this backfield. So I will definitely be getting to Myles Gaskin pretty much on most of my lineups. I never want to say 100% because anything could happen, but upwards to 85%. I just don't see a reason to need to get away from him. Another guy, before I get into my other main guy that I'm looking at, I just wanted to bring up Kareem Hunt, who's 5,900 on DraftKings, 6,400 on FanDuel. Again, another situation when you have a must-win game. You like that Kareem Hunt was leaned on last week against the Jets and had that, fumble, or Baker had the fumble. He recovered it. He advanced it. They called it that, they ruled it down. You can't advance the ball. Who knows what would have happened there? But he's been putting up. They're not stellar, but he's involved in the offense. Like, you're not getting Nick Chubb over 70% of the snaps. He's around like a 60%, 50% in some weeks snap share. And while Kareem Hunt is still, in the 40s or 30s, he definitely has a role. In the pass game, and he will definitely go overlooked this week on DraftKings, where it's a 1-point PPR, and you're looking at the red zone roles, and Nick Chubb has definitely taken that away from him since being back from the injury, but still, getting 1 to 2 red zone opportunities. Last week, he had 3 against the Jets. So if he's still in the mix in tournaments, if you're in large field tournaments and, you want to look at the Cleveland side of things, I do like Kareem Hunt. Let's go to Melvin Gordon. Another favorite of mine on this slate. I mean, when you're looking at, he's 5,700 on DraftKings, even 6,800 on FanDuel. Again, not garnering any ownership because Denver's out of it. They're playing the Raiders, who are now out of it. Vegas odds, they still have both of these teams with an interesting implied team total where it should be a competitive back and forth game. The Raiders are still going to roll out Waller and Carr and those guys there. And you're looking at the Raiders, how they can be attacked on the ground. You're looking at 4.5 or 4.85 yards per carry that they're giving up. He should see a boatload of the carries here with Phillip Lindsay being on IR. And he had 2 games earlier in the season where he had 19 plus carries without Lindsay being on the field. So, I mean, Melvin Gordon, I think that it's week 17. So I do think the Broncos take a hard look at Drew Lock. You should know what you have in him yet, but maybe they are going to pass, maybe they're going to look at their future and decide that, it's not Drew Lock. Drew Lock's not the future of the team. And we just take take this game and we get Melvin Gordon going here and what have you. I don't know. I that game is interesting to me with Denver and the Raiders, just how the two teams play. Gruden being on the other side, I don't think he's going to phone it in. And so, you got Fangio, who's probably coming back as head coach there. I think they try and get Melvin Gordon going. He's too cheap on DraftKings, especially. Let's go to wide receiver. We got Corey Davis here, 6,200 on DraftKings, 7,200 on FanDuel. Man, I was on, Maddie, I got to give Maddie credit at Maddie DFS on Twitter. 1/3 of the DJ Nation podcast has definitely been on Corey Davis all year. talking about how they basically him and AJ Brown, the upside is there for both of these guys. Is the target shares were pretty similar. And really, when AJ Brown isn't having a good game, it seems like Corey Davis on the other side is going explosive. So, is it a Henry game? Is it an AJ Brown game with Tannehill, Jonnu in the mix? Corey Davis just gets left off the radar. But when you're still looking at Tennessee being over 30, one of the two teams I believe that are over 30 implied total points for this week, I gotta have some exposure to Corey Davis. The Houston secondary is atrocious. With I can't even think of the other guys outside of Vernon Hargreaves right now, but they're all bad. Can't stop anybody, and it's not like Vernon Hargreaves is going to shadow. So I expect Corey Davis to get some matchups against him. And the first matchup of the season, Corey Davis wasn't active for that one, and AJ Brown went for 22. But you got Adam Humphries on IR, so it's just guys like Baston and Raymond and Westbrook that he's competing with for wide receiver targets. I think that Corey Davis shapes up well when you're talking about he plays in the 3 o'clock slate, and people will look at AJ Brown and Derrick Henry and forget about him. So like to get him on some teams that don't have Tennessee players on them. Russell Gage, 5,100 on DraftKings, 5,700 on FanDuel. I just keep going back to the well with this guy every single week. You're looking at the snap counts, and he's been in low-owned plays before because of what he's doing. But snap counts is 79, 88, 78, 72, 91, 91, 91, and 91 the past 2 weeks. It's crazy. 47 targets over his past 6 games. It's still behind Calvin Ridley's 61, but the next closest one is Hayden Hurst with 27. So you're talking about 20 more opportunities than the third place on the roster. He's definitely a good play. Oh yeah, he has had multiple red zone target opportunities since week 11. That's 3 times when he's been targeted, 2 or more times in the red zone. So you definitely love to see that. Atlanta still, I don't know if they're playing for Raheem Morris to make him more of a favorite to get the head coaching job there in Atlanta. But they definitely haven't taken their foot off the gas the past couple of weeks when they could have. Almost spoiled Kansas City last week on the road. So I love getting to Russell Gage here if he's going to be on the field with Matt Ryan. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, how many times have I talked about this player? Going back to the well again, 3,600 on DraftKings, 5,300 on FanDuel. If I have an interest in Aaron Rodgers, then I'm definitely looking to stack him with multiple guys, not only just Devontae Adams. How do you play Rodgers and don't play Devontae? I don't know. But again, no Jalen Johnson for Chicago. No Buster Screen, if you want to put that into the forum there. But he's a boom or bust play. I mean, this guy, he can take 50-yarder, 60-yarder to the house. He leads the league in yards per reception with 19.2, I believe. So you definitely love that. The Bears have given up explosive plays time and time again. He didn't see a target last week, but he still was on the field a hell of a lot. I believe he had the same amount of snaps as Allen Lazard, only 6 less snaps than Devontae Adams. So love getting into Valdes-Scantling on Aaron Rodgers stacks. It's hard to play him as a one-off, but on the Aaron Rodgers stacks, I think it makes sense. And then guys who I think you can play as a one-off are Josh Reynolds or Van Jefferson. Now, Josh Reynolds, he's 3,200 on DraftKings, 4,900 on FanDuel. And ironically, Van Jefferson's the minimum on DK, but he's 4,600, with the minimum on FanDuel is 45 for a wide receiver. He's 4,600 on FanDuel. There's no Cooper Kupp. There's no Jared Goff. There's no Darrell Henderson. Now, Cam Akers is questionable. It's a possibility that Cam Akers could play. And my God, I love Cam Akers this week. If he somehow gets ruled in, garnering no ownership in a game that the Rams need with a backup quarterback, they're just going to feed Cam Akers the rock. So that's something to definitely pay attention to. But if all those guys are out, including Cam Akers, I mean, these guys are just way too cheap for what they're going to see on the field. We know that McVay and the offensive coordinator there for the Rams, they love to run these 3 wide receiver sets. And so when you're, Josh Reynolds, he's been getting snap shares of 60, 70, 80% with Kupp out there healthy. So now you got to think that he's still going to see that, if not more. And then that just puts Van Jefferson into the Josh Reynolds role. And these guys are cheap. Like, if you want to play Derrick Henry and Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers on the same team, this is how you do it. You get these cheap guys. And so many, it needs to be said that wide receiver, and I'm going to go on a little tangent here before I get into my tight ends, but at wide receiver, especially PPR, DraftKings, when you're factoring it in, like at the minimum price, if these guys get 15, 12, 15 points to have you, help you to get guys who are getting 35, 40 points, like that makes sense in tournaments, and we see it all the time of these top guys who go out there. Like AJ Brown is 7,700, let's say, I think is what it is on DraftKings. If he goes out there and gets you like 19, 20 points, you could have done a lot with that salary if these guys are, falling within 7 to 8 points of that range at minimum price. That $4,000 allows you to do so much. So they're going to be on the field. It's Wolford, and you love Wolford, at quarterback. You love the backup to backup connection, scout team connection that he has there with Van Jefferson. And even with Josh Reynolds too being out there, it just makes a ton of sense to kind of play these guys that do allow you to get other guys where you can talk yourself into them scoring, 30, 40 points. Jared Cook at tight end. I'm going over to tight end now. 4,700 on DraftKings, 5,700 on FanDuel. We got no Alvin Kamara. We got no Michael Thomas. We got no Traquan Smith. Drew Brees. I mean, he's going to be looking for Jared Cook a lot. And I know that the targets really haven't, they kind of been middling. And it's very frustrating with the Saints team. They have so many different ways that they like to attack. It's just so frustrating outside of the alpha guys. There are Marcus Callaway, LaJordan Humphrey. I'm trying to think of some of these guys that I've seen who are getting work. I mean, Adam Troutman, the rookie at tight end. But I do think, in a game where they're still trying to fight for that number one seed and have people come through the dome to have to play them in the playoffs, you're looking at Jared Cook here at 4,700. He offers leverage off of the Ty Montgomery chalk that is sure to be in fruition, as he's 4K with being the only running back option there that we can rely on, I think, for DFS purposes. So I definitely like Jared Cook there. Carolina allowing the 9th most DraftKings points, 10th most FanDuel points to the tight end position. And then let's look at Noah Fant, who's 4,400 on DraftKings, 5,700 on FanDuel, 27 targets over the past 3 games. There's no KJ Hamler here. Like I said, I mean, Drew Lock is going to be out there, I think, and whether it's showcasing him or not, he loves to pepper Noah Fant with targets. Definitely like this spot for him going against the Raiders there. And that's going to do it. Those are my plays this week. Like I said, I mean, honorable mention definitely goes to Cam Akers if he somehow is suiting up and playing for the Rams. If you want to, that's a late game. So if you want to, build rosters that kind of leave a spot available for Cam Akers, I don't hate it, because if he ends up playing at what will be, little to no ownership, as if he's a true game time decision, that would be just incredible. So have fun with week 17. I mean, there's a lot of different ways it could go. If you are only going to make one lineup, I encourage you to play single entries, so you're not dealing with people who are, going to be putting in an optimizer and building 150 teams, even if it's 20 max. Like, you definitely want to make sure you have multiple bullets if you're playing against multiple bullets on the other side, because there's so many ways to attack this slate. There are a lot of top spots or high totals at the top, but also just some ugly games that we can scratch off. And we're talking about 15 game slate here. There's going to be still chalk that congregates, like on guys like Derrick Henry, Ty Montgomery at the running back position, and even at wide receiver with AJ Brown and the Tampa Bay guys. And who's to say that we get a full game from those starters in Tampa Bay. So have fun with this one. Again, week 17 DFS top low plays video here. Appreciate this last one of the regular season. Appreciate you guys rocking with me, but we will be back in the playoffs in some way, shape, or form to get you guys some plays to target on your DFS lineups for that. Good luck this week, and peace. Get that money.